Hi everybody, this is Susan Elliott, Splendida Nutrita, and today I'm doing one of my favorite things to do, which is herb infused oils. Now these are some oils that I did a couple of weeks ago. This one is chamomile, and this one is comfrey, and this one is calendula. And today I'm going to be making lavender infused oils. So I will be right back and we will get started. The first thing that you want to have on hand is an airtight container. Now this is a canning jar. It's your typical mason jar. It's got the seal here. Hear that pop? That means airtight. But you don't want to use it right out. You want to sterilize this. Now, I usually put a drop of bleach in my water and let it boil for 20 minutes. But if you hold it at a low boil for at least 20 minutes, you will have a sterilized jar. So if you do add bleach, it's really important that you dry it out very, very completely. For today's lesson, I did not put any bleach in the water. It's been boiling for at least 20 minutes. I think it's longer than that. So you want that. Then the next thing you want is your oil. Now, my original balm was made with sunflower oil. Now sunflower oil does not have a great shelf life. So the minute you open sunflower oil, you have to put something in, an antioxidant that's going to extend the shelf life of that particular oil. I use rosemary oleo resin. As soon as I open it, I put in the rosemary oleo resin. Now the amount is 0.2 to 0.5 grams per 1,000 grams of oil. A 7-pound container, which is what I get my oils in, like this, has 3,175 grams. So I typically put in around 3 grams of rosemary oleo resin as soon as I open the sunflower. Now, that happened quite by accident. The first time I made balm, I had sunflower. I had just opened it. I just put in the rosemary oleo resin. I love sunflower oil. It's very light. It's very nice. I said, let me see what happens. I'm going to be using it for me. You know, no biggie. I put in the rosemary oleo resin. I put in calendula. This is a calendula infusion. I put in dry calendula. Your herbs must be dry. And I let it sit on the windowsill for 6 weeks. Now, you want to have it somewhere, sunny, and you want to kind of do this every couple of days. I do this every day because I'm a little crazy, but in the first week or so, you should definitely turn it once a day. I have this on my bedroom windowsill because it gets the most sun of anywhere in the house, and I turn it upside down at night. The last thing I do before I go to sleep is I turn my oils. So it made an excellent, excellent, excellent balm. And I had a ringing endorsement from a very weird source. My son is this blue-collar, big, burly, outdoory guy who thinks that this stuff is all crunchy granola voodoo. Those is his words, not mine. And my grandson came for the weekend, and he had been hit right above his eye. It almost took his eye out with a bat in Little League practice. The kid before him, got a hit through the bat, hit my grandson in the eye. He could have lost an eye, but he had this huge gash right underneath his eyebrow. And like 4 months later, the big red mark was still there. So when he came to me for the weekend, I put the salve on a couple of times a day, and I swear it was getting lighter through the weekend. When he left, I didn't give it to my son, I gave it to my grandson. I said, here, put this on a couple of times a day. Didn't think anything else of it. A few months later, my son, Mr. Crunchy Granola Voodoo, comes along and he goes, I don't know what was in that, but it took that red mark away within the first week. Ringing endorsement. I can't make any medical claims because the salve has not been evaluated by the FDA, but that is just something that you might want to know. Another time is that I'm cooking, and I'm starting a new cooking channel. I have a breakup channel. I have to do some taping for that today. But I have a cooking channel, and I was using these Henkel knives, a very sharp chef knife, and it bounced off the counter, hit me right in the chin, and the blood just, you know, if you're a guy and you've ever had a cut on your chin from shaving, you know they just bleed and bleed and bleed and bleed. And I just took the salve and I dabbed it on. It wasn't the fact that the salve was so thick, because sunflower oil is not that thick, but it just stopped, and within a day you couldn't even tell that anything was there. And it had been like this big open wound that was just shooting blood everywhere. So when I have the cooking channel, I'll put a link here. But I've got the breakup channel, which is Getting Past Your Past. If you're breaking up or you know someone who's breaking up, go check out those videos. But this is the Herbal Infusion video. So let's not mix these all up. So anyway, I was so sold on the salve that I decided, you know, that I was going to make another one. The day that I went to do it, I just used the sunflower oil the day before. So I only had like this much. It's very important that you fill the jar all the way up. You want airtight lids because you don't want any air in there. You don't want any air hitting your oil. So I had about this much sunflower oil that had rosemary oleoresin in it, and the jug was only like a couple of days old, but I had used it in soaps the day before, so I only had that much left. So I put the rest, half sweet almond oil and half olive oil, and that made a wonderful salve as well with calendula. I started using that as my go-to formulation. Half sunflower, remember you must have the rosemary oleoresin in it, about 20% sweet almond, and about 30% olive oil. And it just was wonderful. Now, when I put the oils in, even though olive oil and sweet almond oil both have good shelf life, you want to put in vitamin E. Not vitamin E capsules, not things that are sold that say this has X amount of, you know, vitamin E in it. If you pour it out and it's not thick, it's not real vitamin E. It's not what you want to put in your oils. So I always put vitamin E oil in my, before I jar them up, I put the vitamin E in. And I will get you those measurements as well. I think it's similar to the rosemary oleoresin, but I'm not quite sure. But before I do it, I will make sure I know what I'm doing. So anyway, I have the container. It is in the water. There's no bleach in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my gloves on. I'm going to take it out. I'm going to keep everything as sterile as I can. I want to put something on my counter because I'm infusing lavender in sweet almond oil. I'm not using any sunflower oil today because this is going into my baby balm. My baby balm. I love the Bambini, the Bummo Bambini. Oh my goodness, it's so nice. People use it for diaper rash. They use it just to make their baby skin nice and smooth. It's so nice. And like other things that I have kind of experimented with, lavender with some of these other oils in the baby balm, it's just amazing. And I've come up with the right formula, and you know, mucking around with it for over a year, and I really think that, you know, I've hit on it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put my gloves on. I'm going to get my counter all nice and sparkly so that there was as little contamination as possible in this next phase. And I'm using sweet almond oil because it's a really nice oil for the babies, and it has a long shelf life, and there's no problem with rancidity. I just got this in, and I'm going to take this out of the boiling water and we'll get going. It's going to be a very short process, but there are some important steps that you need to know. Okay, this is very important. You want these to be as sterile as possible, so you want as few steps. Once you take the bottle out of the water, you want it to do as few steps as possible so you don't introduce any bacteria, anything into the process. You want to make it as quick and painless as possible. Now I'm going to dunk my little bottle grabbers, tongs, I couldn't think of the name, tongs, bottle grabbers. I'm going to take my little bottle grabbers and I'm going to put them in the boiling water for a little bit, and then I'm going to bring the jar out because it has to dry completely. There can't be any water in the jar. No water in the jar. I love this little hand puppet thing I got going on here. So no. It's like, looks like Cecil the sea serpent. If you're old enough to remember Cecil, good for you. Anyway, me and Cecil, we're going to take the bottle out of the pot. And then we're going to put the lid in the pot. Be right back. Oh, and I've also flipped the jar a few times in the water. I like the little hand puppet thing. Maybe I'll make a show. The YouTube Talking Tong Show. Yay! Yay, Talking Tong. Now, if you do put bleach in the water, which I sometimes do, I usually put the bleach in the water when I've got like long time to dry it out. You don't want it pouring over into an open flame, which is what I have with a gas stove. So anyway, I'm going to turn my little jar upside down. I'm not getting a real good handle on this. I need another tong. I need another talking tong. Talking tong. Oh, here's one. Maybe he'll be the silent partner. Okay, so I move all the water out of there, that's on there. Come on, tongs, do your work, do your work, do your work. Don't make me burn myself. Okay, so I'm going to turn, this is Tong's friend, Tongette. Tong has more hair than Tongette. Maybe this is Tongette with the hair. Anyway, so you do not want any water in the jar. While this is drying, take your little toppy there and put it in the water. And take this part of the toppy there and put it in the water. Remember, this has to be completely dry. You don't want any water in this equation. So usually what I do is I let it dry for a really long time. Just if you use bleach, you want definitely, even though like I only put like a few drops of bleach, you definitely want the bleach to have completely dissipated before it's in your oil. Well, you don't want any liquid other than the oil in your oil anyway. So, and sometimes I will even dry these out with a hairdryer. But I mean, this thing is pretty dry. Come on, tongs, do your work. Oh, I gotta do everything. Oh. Okay, that's obviously the worker tong. Let's see, is there any? No? Smells like paper. Let me just go one more time. I mean, it's pretty dry. That's one of the things that's great about these canning jars is, you know, you don't want to introduce a lot of water into so many different processes that you use this for. They're like magic. Magic. It's magic. Okay. Come on, Tom. Let's do some work here. Yay. Okay, now, I'm going to take my lavender. You must use dried herbs. If you grow your own, which I used to grow my own lavender, you have to hang them upside down. You got to do the dry and drill. If you grow something like that, you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, you should learn. Okay, so here we are. We have a very dry. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill it up probably halfway with lavender buds. Let's see, what should I... If I don't use a funnel, it's going to go all over the place. And of course I can't find a funnel, so... And I would have to sterilize the funnel. So I'm going to do this instead. Yeah, I'm not in the mood to sterilize the funnel. Okay, so when you have fresh herbs like the comfrey and the calendula and the chamomile, those are my 3 favorite ones to do. They go in a little easier than this because they're clumpier. But the lavender, can you see that? Lavender is very seedy. Not seedy as in dive bar seedy, but as in seed-like. It's being a mystery science theater here. Oh, seedy, dive bar. I'm losing my mind. It's a crunchy granola voodoo coming to town. Coming to town. Now, if I suspected there was some water in here, I'd throw this whole damn thing away and start all over again. I honestly would. You do not, under any condition, want any water in here. Let's get that very straight. Okay, I got lavender all over the hell place. Okay, so there I am with the lavender. And now I'm going to take my oil. Now what I have to do here is I have to measure the oil because I have to know how much vitamin E to put in. Be right back. Okay, so I took my little cappies out of the water and I put my little jar on the scale. I'm going to tear it out because I just want to weigh the oil. So this is sweet almond oil, and I just opened it yesterday, and I don't really need rosemary oleoresin resin because this is a very long shelf life. So let's see what we got here. You want to cover all the herbs. Now, when you have the bigger herbs, you want them loosely packed. When you're dealing with something like lavender, as you can see, it has to disperse into the lavender. You want all of the lavender covered, and with something that's this thick or dense, it's going to take a while for the oil to get all the way to the bottom. Remember, you want your lavender very dry. I've seen people do this with wet lavender, then they have mold and mildew. They don't know why. Any water will do it. Okay, you want to have as much oil as you can get in there because you don't want to leave air. Now it says 712 grams. So it says T50 would be 0.4 to 0.5% of the whole thing. And 95, which is what we have, will be 0.2 to 0.25. So let me figure that out and I'll be back. Okay, so we have 712. Anything over 2% is going to be great. So I'm going to go for like 725. Make sure you leave now. Look at this. See how that is slowly coming out? If you've bought vitamin E and it doesn't come out that slowly, it's not really vitamin E. Real vitamin E that has the effects that you want is going to come out this slowly. Now that's going to help with the end product. It's also going to help keep the oxidation. Anybody who tells you that rosemary oleoresin resin or vitamin E are preservatives are out of their minds, and don't listen to them. These are antioxidants. I mean, they're wonderful and they're expensive, but okay, I'm going to go for around 7. I'm almost up to the line. So 727. I mean, that's a lot of vitamin E. Especially since this is 95% vitamin E. Now, if you get vitamin E that doesn't come out that slowly, okay, now this has been sitting on my little table, so I want to put my tongs back in the water. I want to put this back in the water. I want it to be as sterile as possible. I'm going to put that here. But remember, you don't want you don't want air, you don't want water. Water and air is necessary for human beings. It's not necessary for herbal infusions. In fact, they're the enemies of herbal infusions. So you've got these two-piece kind of tabs. You have to make sure there's no water anywhere. No water in the innards. No water in outers. Use my talking tongs. Talking tongs. Okay, so you want this. You want to get as much oil in there as you can. I'm just about up to the top, but you got to leave a little bit of room so you can shake it up. Shake it up. Cars, 1977. Yep, Beanie and Cecil in the Cars. We're really dating ourselves here. Hey, I saw all the best bands live. I saw Springsteen before anybody knew who he was. I saw the Ramones. You don't get cooler than that. Okay, so here's my herbal infusion. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put, all of these have a little sticky on them when they go. This is chamomile. This is comfrey. And this is calendula. Now look at the difference in the color. They were all done on the same day. And they were all done with the same oil ratios. The sunflower, the sweet almond, and the olive that I told you about before. But look at the difference. It's like, this is the comfrey, this is the calendula, this is the chamomile. So I have a sticker that says January 9th, sunflower, sweet almond, olive, vitamin E, row on all of them. And whatever herb is in it. I don't really need to write the herb. I can tell by looking at it what it is. Now this lavender, I'm going to put in and say lavender. And I'm going to put the date on it, which today is the 21st or 22nd. And I'm going to let them sit in the sun and turn them up once a day for 6 weeks. Some people might think that's a long time. You get the best, the very best out of them when you let them sit and infuse. Now, look at those babies. How beautiful is that? And when they're ready, I will come back, me and my talking tongs, and we will show you how we make balms and salves and all kinds of great things with this. We're going to make lip balms, baby balms, and salves and wound healers and cleansers and all kinds of stuff. So join us, me and Cecil, the talking tong, in 6 weeks. Be back. Forgot to say, you can do hot infusions where you put either in a double boiler or you put it in a crock pot halfway filled with water and you heat it, and you can usually heat it overnight. I don't do hot infusions, but if you don't have 2 to 6 weeks, I mean, some people will use these oils after 2 weeks. This is about 2 weeks for these 3, and I'm not using them for another month. But some people will use them after 2 weeks, and I think you get a better result when you do cold infusion. So cold fusion's a whole other thing that I know nothing about. I'm a lawyer, I'm an author, I'm a soap maker, but I don't know cold fusion. So you can do that. You could take each one of these, you could put them in a crock pot halfway up and do it overnight. You could do it in a double boiler for a few hours, and you can infuse your oil that way. I don't do it. I don't know how to do, I mean, I know how to do it. I don't do it, so I'm not going to show you how to do it. But anyway, you can do that if you can't wait for 2 to 6 weeks for the infusion to take place. So you'll have to look up how to do that, and good luck, no matter what you do.